If there were no banks, no money, and no stores, how did Stone Age humans manage their economy? It sounds like a recipe for total chaos, right? We imagine our ancestors as primitive, wandering aimlessly, just hoping to stumble upon a berry or stray rabbit. But the truth is actually much more sophisticated. They didn't have Wall Street, but they had a system so effective it allowed our species to survive for hundreds of thousands of years through ice ages and environmental collapses. This wasn't just survival. It was a highly managed logistical masterpiece. To understand it, we have to throw away everything we think we know about value. In our world, wealth is what you have in your pocket. In their world, wealth was who you had in your circle. Think about it. If you're a hunter-gatherer, what's the most valuable thing you can own? Is it a pile of extra meat? No. Without a refrigerator, that meat is going to rot in 48 hours. Excess is a liability, not an asset. This is where the concept of the gift economy comes in. It's a term anthropologists use to describe a system built on reciprocal altruism. Here's how it works. Imagine you've had an incredibly lucky day and you've managed to take down a massive deer. It's far more than you and your immediate family can eat. In a modern mindset, you might try to sell the extra or store it. But in the Stone Age, you give it away. You give it to the family 3 huts down who haven't caught anything in a week. You aren't just being nice, you are making a strategic investment. By feeding them today, you are creating a social debt. You are essentially depositing that meat into a human bank. When your luck eventually runs out, and it will because nature is unpredictable, that family is now socially obligated to feed you. This is social insurance in its purest form. It's a safety net woven from relationships rather than paper currency. But here's the kicker. This system only works if everyone plays by the rules. If you're a moocher who takes but never gives, the community notices. In a small tribe, your reputation is your credit score. If your reputation drops too low, you're cut off from the network. And in the Stone Age, being cut off didn't just mean you were lonely, it meant you were dead. This constant pressure to be a reliable partner kept the economy moving. But don't think for a second that they were just reacting to whatever they found on the ground. These people were high-level logistics managers. They operated on a complex economic calendar that would make a modern supply chain manager sweat. They didn't just wander, they moved with intent. They knew exactly when the salmon would run in the rivers, when the high-altitude berries would ripen, and when the herds would migrate through specific valleys. They were tracking inventory across hundreds of miles of terrain. Imagine managing a warehouse where the shelves move and the products only appear once a year. That was their daily reality. They had to plan their movements months in advance to ensure they were in the right place at the right time. If you arrived at the nut groves 2 weeks late, the squirrels already won. If you arrived too early, you wasted precious energy. This level of logistical management required an incredible amount of shared knowledge. This knowledge was their data, passed down through stories and songs, acting as a living map of their economic assets. But what happens when you need something that doesn't grow in your backyard? This is where the story gets really wild. We often think of Stone Age tribes as isolated groups, but archaeology tells a different story. We have found flint tools and obsidian blades hundreds, sometimes even thousands of miles away from their geological source. How did a piece of volcanic glass from the mountains end up in a coastal forest? It wasn't because one person walked that far. It was because of massive, long-distance trade networks. These weren't just random swaps, they were organized social events. Different groups would meet at specific times of the year, often at geographical landmarks like a specific river fork or a prominent hill. These meetings were the trade shows of the ancient world. They exchanged materials, but they also exchanged something even more valuable: information and genetic diversity. They traded marriage partners, stories, and new technologies. This proves that even without a central government or a standardized currency, humans were capable of maintaining complex, peaceful economic relationships across vast distances. It was a globalized economy before the globe was even mapped. Now, you might be wondering, if they were so good at this, why didn't they eventually start hoarding things? Why didn't one person become the king of the flint and get rich? The answer lies in their very definition of wealth. For a Stone Age human, the idea of hoarding stuff was literally insane. If you have to carry everything you own on your back while following a herd of reindeer, a pile of gold is just a heavy burden that makes you slow. In their eyes, the person who tries to keep everything for themselves is the poorest person in the tribe, because they are the most vulnerable. True wealth was measured in three things: social reputation, knowledge, and community bonds. Your net worth was determined by how many people owed you a favor and how many people you could rely on in a crisis. It was an economy of we rather than an economy of me. It's a perspective that is almost entirely inverted from our modern world. We spend our lives accumulating objects to feel secure, but they spent their lives accumulating relationships to be secure. And while we might look back and call them primitive, we have to ask ourselves, which system is actually more resilient? Their economy lasted for nearly 3 million years. Ours has only been around for a few hundred, and it's already looking a bit shaky. The Stone Age economy wasn't just about finding food. It was about building a network of trust that made food a secondary concern. They understood that in the face of a harsh and unforgiving world, the most valuable asset you can ever own isn't something you can hold in your hand. It's the person standing next to you. So next time you think about the economy as a series of numbers on a screen or coins in a jar, remember the people who came before us. They managed to run a global system of trade, logistics, and insurance using nothing but their brains and their bonds. They weren't just surviving. They were masters of a different kind of value. And maybe, just maybe, there's a lesson in there for us about what it really means to be wealthy.